On this video, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be loading a flight plan. We are going to be landing in Naples, and we're going to be doing the VOR runway 5. The flight plan that we are going to be selecting today is going to be from Tampa to Naples, and we're going to go over the whole how to load the flight plan and then fly the approach. These videos are designed for entertainment and provide you some sort of support for study at home. It's not meant to replace certified flight instruction. The way to use these videos is watch them, try to practice in your home simulator. This is getting you better prepared for your flight lessons. And if you are struggling, you have to seek instruction from a certified flight instructor. So here, you guys will see it on the bottom right. We already have on ForeFlight, we have Tampa and Naples. I'm going to select this routes. Wait for it to load. We have the recommended and what people been getting cleared. I'm going to select this Sabi intersection, and then I'll select the route. Then I will go to plates. I will press import, and I'm going to import from maps. This process is far more different if you're going to be, I wouldn't say far more different. It's going to be different because here we're already in the air. This is just going to give you a hint on how to set up a flight plan. We'll do another video. If you guys want us to make the other video about how to do the pre-flight planning on how to select the route, leave it in the comments. So now that we have a departure airport, a waypoint, you cannot file direct. You always need an IFR system. You need a waypoint. And so in this case, I will come back. I will press flight plan on the MFD. I will push the FMS knobs, and I will move the small knobs to the right. And then I will start typing the airport. For purposes of this video, we already loaded the flight plan. And now I'm going to, because it's going to be a shortcut, is a small knobs to the left, small knobs to the right, resend, and I'm going to highlight Tampa. You will do the same thing with Alpha, Sierra Alpha Bravo Echo Echo. I'm just going small knobs left, and I'll go to resend, select Sabi, enter, and then I'll do the same thing, small knobs to the left, small knobs to the right, and Naples. If you didn't preload this route, you'll have to manually twist it. This is the reason why a lot of serious pilots like their keypad. It's because they don't have to twist. They just activate, they just type in the route. Now, let's get talking about the approach. This is going to be the VOR runway 5 into Naples. Well ahead of time, you should have gotten the ATIS. Check the NOTAMs. So for our purposes, I am going to set 124, 2412. And I am going to set Naples Towers, which I'm sure is going to be coming up next because we are just north of the airport. 28.5. ATIS was 134.25. There it is. Okay. Frequencies are pretty much set, and we got caught up with that. Now, keep it in mind, it's going to be always the same process. Load it, check it, refit. Right now, we are going to load the approach. I'm going to select approach. I'm going to select the approach key. How about that? Then I'm going to select approach. We're already at the airport of Naples, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You always got to check that that's the correct airport. You're loading your approach. And we're going to scroll down. We're doing the VOR runway 5. For the purposes of this video, we requested ATC for the full approach. So they're going to be sending us direct to CPRES, and we're going to be flying the full approach. So now I'm going to select the Charlie Yankee Yankee. Minimums are 580. I am a big fan of loading the approach. So here I'm going to select enter. And I click enter is because we have to fly this with ground navigation. We cannot use GPS to substitute the signal for this approach. So we load the approach. Now we're going to check it. Once we cross Cypress, we're going to be flying the 219 for the procedure turn at or above 1,800. FF05, which is that waypoint here, it's a GPS waypoint, is when we can actually start the descent down to 580. Okay. And the missed approach is runway 5. Missed approach, we go into Cypress, hold on the 039, which is the inbound course, at 1,800. And we'll check it up here. And it's the exact same thing. So now we have load the approach, we have checked the approach, and now we'll brief it. We're doing the VOR runway 5 into Naples, 19 February 2021, 13-1. Once again, multi-crew air. If you have two JAPs, the other pilot will check their currency by checking the numbers and the dates. VOR frequency is 1086. Final approach course is 039. MDA is 580. If we have the approach lighting system inside, we can descend down to 100 feet above touchdown zone elevation. So in this case, we can descend down to 108. The notes, we should check them before every flight. In this case, it's just a pilot control lighting. MSA and any quadrant is 2,300. We're going to be flying this procedure turn. We're going to go outbound, then a left turn, 1 minute, right turn, and then we come back inbound, 1,800. And then we're going to be descending at that FF05. We'll descend down to minimums. 2 miles prior to that, we're going to be configuring for the approach. Pappies are on the right. In case we have to go mixture forward, throttles forward, props forward. Actually, props forward, throttles forward, disengage the autopilot 10 degrees, nose up, press toe, got nav. Make sure it goes auto suspend. We'll make sure we have the missed approach altitude 1,600, and we'll turn right. And then, like every time, we finish with any questions. Assuming that we have no questions, and if you do, leave it in the comments. I will try to answer your questions. Now we're going to get moving. How about the tell us direct Cypress? Cross Cypress at above 1,800, clear for the approach. So I did it very quickly. Cypress. I highlight Cypress, press direct, enter, and on the AFCS mode selector, I selected nav, and I make sure that on the status box is on GPS. The one thing, I actually made a mistake, but for purposes of this video, I said that we had to follow the ground navigation, and I just clicked yes. This is a VOR approach. As long as if I press PFD, bearing 1 pointer, you'll see it is already on Cypress. So this is actually monitoring the station. Because it's a VOR approach, we can fly the magenta needle overlay with the nav1 monitoring the station. So there it is. We just crossed Cypress. I'm going to start a timer. I'll actually start it here in ForeFlight. It's a little bit easier. If I can get it. Count up. Synchronize the heading bug. Get the flight plan back. And now we can start a descent 1,800. Let me get rid of the flash on the MFD. Vertical speed. We have, I'll pull the power back. We have 150. This needs to increase to 700. I'm looking at the ground speed. Divided by 2 is 150. I'm going to assume 160. Public math is easier. So that will be 80 times 10 right at 0, 800 feet a minute. I'm going with 700 because I'm not quite at 160 ground speed. I know I do have 1 minute. We're going to be going out away from that fix, that FF05. And that's going to get us to set up for the procedure turn. $300 to go. And I'll take a look at my timer. Timer is a little bit irrelevant because we are going after the final approach point. Now, the one key here is we have to remain within 10 nautical miles from the VOR for the whole procedure turn. I am monitoring the VOR on that bearing pointer 1. We are leveling off. I got to add power. And here it is, 174. I will use the timer now in the G1000. Synchronize the heading bug. GPS autopilot altitude 1800. Now, because I am planning to let the autopilot fly down to minimums, I'm going to set minimums. And on that note, I do want you to remember that one of the reasons why I'm using the autopilot for these videos is primarily because the purpose of this video is to give you explanations, some added value. If I wanted you guys to watch me fly an airplane, that will be a different story. And therefore, the autopilot's on so I can alleviate the workload and explain things to you. Not just me flying an airplane, because it does require a lot of mental power. And that's why we have the sterile cockpit rules. Let me rephrase that. The sterile flight deck rules in effect. Because there are distractions. And you'll see that I'll make mistakes throughout this approach. It's just because I have to explain things. All right, so there's the 1 minute. I'm going to get the flight plan back. I know that I'm not, and if you see this is saying 9.1 and 4 miles. There it is. I was just going to say we're not 9 miles. And that situation awareness you need to have when you do these approaches. GPS, and we're still flying on altitude. We're still 3 miles. At 120, this speed is good enough. I want to be up below 140, 2 miles prior to the final approach fix. I'll synchronize the heading bug. Here comes the right turn. I'll zoom in on the MFD. Two miles, we are below 120. I'm going to wait until we are 1.5 miles. Inside 1.5 miles, I'm going to start thinking about lowering my flaps. Main reason I'm going to delay that decision is because if I lower them now, I'm going to have to add more power and then reduce power. So I just want to make it one smooth transition. There it is, 1.5 miles. I'm going to go 10 degrees of flaps. And you see how the speed is sinking very quickly. That's the reason I didn't do my flaps at 2 miles right away. We'll do landing checklist. Gas is on the fullest tank. It's on both mixture. Gear is fixed. Mixture is forward. Prop will gently come forward. And seat belts are good on the left. Landing checklist complete. Putting my finger over the vertical speed. Vertical speed. And this is going to be 500 descent. 500 feet a minute descent, and I'm also reducing my power. You got to be very cautious of your power settings. New approach will tell us to switch over to tower. I'm going to set 121.6, which is ground. This is slow for this airplane. I do want to be about 95 knots. Naples Tower, 1060 Tango. VOR runway 5. A little bit of power that will clear us to land. We're 1,000 feet above minimums. I'm not going to set the missed approach altitude. If I do that, the autopilot is not going to level off at MDA. Synchronize the heading bug. Advisory. That's just telling us to make sure that we are monitoring the frequency, the navigational source, which we are in bearing 1. Because we have to go miss, mixture forward, props forward, throttles forward, 10 degrees, autopilot disengage, 500. 400. 300. 200. Approaching minimums. Altitude select. Now I have to come in with power because it's going to do a level off. We still have 1.8 miles to a missed approach point. Altitude, GPS, autopilot altitude 500, 580. I'm going to set missed approach altitude is not flashing. I'm going to set 1,800. And I'm actually going to wait. There's going to be other videos on why we want to wait. We can climb. I just rather stay here and then climb at the missed approach point because there are other approaches that if you climb now, there are going to be limitations. Teterboro, Oakland, there's some airports in Paris that have that restriction. 0.5 miles to minimums. Mixture forward, props forward. Missed approach, autopilot disengage. Pressing toga, going to select nav. It did change. Control wheel steering, I'm going to bring it up to 10 degrees. Clear full obstacles, flaps up. I will retrim the airplane. Missed approach altitude is set. Naples Tower 1060 Tango, missed approach. Flaps are up. Cow flaps are coming open. And I'm staying with the flight director. Missed approach is a high workload phase. It's not only the automation, while the automation is there to help us, it's still a high workload phase. You still want to back up your missed approach altitudes, your course, your automation. If you're planning on using it, if you're not planning on using it, you have to have the situation awareness on what you're going to do on that missed approach. In this case, there are different techniques on when to go missed and how to go missed. As we do more videos, you're going to encourage you to look up the Oakland approach. Teterboro is also one of them. And there's an airport just south of Charles de Gaulle that has this restriction, and that's the reason why I didn't climb. While there's the exceptions, there's no penalties and there's no prizes to be won for climbing early unless you as the pilot in command seem necessary to climb before the missed approach point.